Hey chess players, welcome back to Your Chess Coach. If you're rated below 1600, then you must have seen this position before. The fried liver attack. Everyone at this level is trying to play it. They've watched the videos, they know the tactics, and they're coming for your f7 square. And here's what usually happens. You panic, you play the wrong defense, and suddenly your king is being hunted in the center of the board while your opponent is having all the fun. But what if I told you there's a trap? A devastating counter trap that over 4 million players have fallen for. And even if your opponent doesn't fall for it, you still get an excellent position. In my 15 years of coaching, I've taught this defense to hundreds of students, and they've gone from dreading the fried liver to actively hoping their opponents play it. Let me show you why. All right, let's see how we reach this critical position. The game starts with e4, and you respond with e5. White plays knight to f3, you develop with knight to c6. White continues with bishop to c4, the Italian game, and you play knight to f6, the two knights defense. Now white plays knight to g5. They're going for the fried liver. This knight is eyeing f7, threatening a devastating fork. Most players know the main line here. If you play d5, white takes with e takes d5. Before we begin, I need to show you what not to do. This is crucial because this is the mistake that leads to all those fried liver attack is amazing videos. After white plays e takes d5, do not play knight takes d5. I know it looks natural. You're recapturing, you're centralizing your knight. You're attacking the knight on g5. What could go wrong? Everything. White plays knight takes f7, the famous fried liver sacrifice. You have to play king takes f7. You can't let white keep the knight. And then comes queen to f3 check. Your king is being hunted. The queen is forking your king and the knight on d5. You have to play king to a6. It's the only square that keeps the knight defended. And now look at your position. Your king is on e6, stuck in the center of the board with no shelter, no safety, and white has multiple pieces aimed at it. This is exactly what white wants. So that's not what we're doing today. We still play d5. This is the principled move, striking back in the center. White takes with e takes d5. That's forced, that's the only reasonable move. But here's where the magic happens. Instead of knight takes d5, we play knight to d4. This move is rare. Most players at this level have never seen it. The common alternative is knight to a5, attacking the bishop. But knight to d4 is much stronger. Why? Because we're centralizing our knight on a fantastic square. We're getting it out of danger, and we're setting up a devastating trap. Now let's flip to white's perspective for a moment. White has been dreaming about this f7 attack the entire game. They've moved their knight to g5, they've got their bishop aimed at f7, and now there's this annoying d5 pawn in the way. So what do most players do? They play d6. This looks logical, right? Push the pawn forward, offer a trade, and keep the attack going on f7. Between 1,000 and 1,600 rating, this is by far the most common move. Over 4 million games have been played with this move, and it loses. We simply play queen takes d6. Now your opponent is probably thinking, wait, I'm still forking by capturing on f7. What's the problem? Here's the problem. After we take on d6, white has two ways to capture on f7. They can play knight takes f7 or bishop takes f7 check. Let's look at both. If they play knight takes f7, going for the fork on d6 and h8, we have the brilliant queen to c6. Look at this move. Our queen is attacking the bishop on c4. White sees they're forking our queen and rook, so they play knight takes h8, winning the rook. But we don't recapture the bishop. We have something much better. Queen takes g2. We're attacking the rook on f1 with check. White has only one way to save the rook. Rook to f1. And now can you find the knockout blow? The correct move is queen to a4 check. This check is devastating. White's king can't move. It's trapped by its own pieces. They have two choices. Block with queen to e2 or block with bishop to e2. If queen to e2, we simply play knight takes e2, and we are clearly better because once white recaptures our knight with his bishop, We simply capture the c2 pawn and win white's bishop on the next move. And also remember, white knight is still trapped on h8 square. So black completely wins this game. And if they try bishop to e2 instead, we have knight to f3 checkmate. It's a smothered mate. The bishop can't capture because our queen on e4 is pinning it to the king. Checkmate in just 10 moves. This is why the fried liver attack is actually a trap for white, not for black. Now, some slightly stronger players won't fall for knight takes f7. They'll play the better move. Bishop takes f7 check. White is sacrificing the bishop, giving check, and hoping to create complications. We play king to a7, the only practical move, but it's perfectly fine. Now here's the key. White must move their bishop. Why? Because if they don't, let's say they castle kingside, we simply play h6. The knight has to move, and suddenly the bishop on f7 is hanging. We just take it for free, so white has to retreat the bishop. The only safe square is bishop to b3, and now we simply play knight takes bishop, and once white recaptures our knight with his pawn, we play h6 and attack white's knight. Now his knight goes back to f3, we attack it again, and most players at this point are going to say, well, I don't want to move my knight, I'll pin your pawn so that I don't have to move it. But we just slide our king over, and now they have to move their knight. In this position, if you look carefully, the knight has only two options, and they're both bad for white. If it goes to h4, then g5 traps the knight. The knight is gone. If they don't want to lose their knight, they have to go back to g1. But that's a terrible move, because now they can't castle. Look at their pieces, they're all in the back rank, and we can simply just keep up the pressure by playing bishop to g4, attacking the queen, and if they try to block by playing f3. We recapture the pawn and then play rook to e1 and win the game easily. The key lesson, even the better try for white doesn't work. The d6 push is just a mistake. All right, so what if your opponent doesn't fall for the trap? What if they don't play d6? Let's look at the best try for white, c3. This is the most sensible move. White is attacking our knight on d4, asking it to move, and only then will they figure out their plan. But we have a fantastic response. b5. We're not retreating the knight, we're counterattacking the bishop. This is a key principle in chess. When your opponent creates a threat, create your own threat first. White takes c takes d4, and we respond b takes c4. We've captured white's bishop, we've opened the b file for our rook, and we've got active play. White continues with d takes e5. This looks strong. They're attacking our knight on f6, and they've got two pawns in the center. But we will play queen takes d5, sacrificing our knight. This is the key move. Our queen comes to d5, pinning the e5 pawn. White plays e takes f6, and we recapture queen takes g5. Now watch what happens. White plays f takes g7, pushing the passed pawn and threatening to queen. It looks scary, but we simply play bishop takes g7, capturing the pawn and developing our bishop to a powerful diagonal. White castles kingside to get their king safe, and we simply play bishop to b7. Now take a look at this position. Count up the material. We're actually up a pawn, but more importantly, look at the piece activity. We develop with bishop to b7, and suddenly we're threatening checkmate on g2. White has to be very careful here. If white plays g3, trying to stop the checkmate, they've permanently weakened their kingside. We continue by long castling, and look at how many squares we control. Our bishop on b7 is dominating the long diagonal. Our bishop on g7 is controlling the center. Our queen is active, and we're ready to bring our rooks into the game. If white tries f3 to shut down our bishop on b7, we have bishop to d4 check. The king has to move to h1, and then we play rook to g8, piling pressure on g2 and threatening checkmate. Even if white checks us with queen to e2 check, we simply move king to d7. We're totally safe, and our attack continues with rook to e8, doubling on the e file and the g file. The key point, even when white doesn't fall for the trap, we get an excellent position. We're up material, we're more developed, and we have all the play. Now some of you might be thinking, Coach, I've seen knight to a5 recommended against the fried liver. Why is knight to d4 better? Great question. Let me show you. Knight to a5 is played at a higher level. It attacks the bishop and forces white to make a decision. But here's the problem. After knight to a5, White can play d3, and the position becomes relatively quiet. Your knight on a5 is stuck on the side of the board, and white has time to consolidate. Compare that to knight to d4. Your knight is in the center, controlling key squares, and more importantly, it sets up the d6 trap. Most players below 1600 will walk right into it, and even if they don't play d6, even if they play the best move c3, you still get an excellent position with b5 and the lines we just covered. That's why I teach my students to play knight to d4. It's more forcing, it's more active, and it punishes mistakes harder. And that's your complete defense against the fried liver attack. Next time someone tries the fried liver against you, smile, because you know you're about to turn their attack against them. Try this in your next game. When you checkmate someone with this trap, come back and let me know in the comments. If this helped, hit that like button and subscribe to Your Chess Coach. Now go crush some fried liver attempts. See you next time.